Hey everyone, today I'm in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania at the headquarters for EcoTech Marine, and today I'm going to learn how to make a Radion XR30. Let's head on in. All right, so every EcoTech Marine Radion starts here at the SMT line, and Doug is going to walk us through exactly how this goes. Doug, where do we start, man?
Absolutely. So we're going to start right here with our board destacker. Takes the raw PCBAs, it vacuums them up, and then it puts them onto our line, and that brings us into our printer. This is where we extrude all of the solder paste, and there's a big squeegee that goes over a stencil, and that pulls the solder across the stencil and then deposits the solder on the PCBA so that it comes out, it goes through our SPI machine, and that actually looks at every single pad to check for area, volume, height, to make sure that we have exactly the right amount of solder paste on every single pad so that we have consistent quality and consistent product output.
I imagine this guy can talk to this guy and tell it to make whatever changes need to be.
Yep. Next we have our placement machines. So these are all of the components. There's also the other side that is loaded up with component reels.
Okay.
And this will pull a component, it vacuums it up into a nozzle, and then it drives it over to the board and it drops it in a precise location. And this works super fast. So when it's running, you'll see the reels take up components.
So almost like a 3D printer reel, like pulling a filament.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And it just does it component at a time. There's 20 nozzles on this specific head. So it loads up 20 components, slides over, drops 20 components on the board, slides back up and picks up the next round.
And then it goes on to the next one.
Yep. So that places all of the smaller components first. And then we come to the larger components, your connectors, super caps, the larger LEDs. That all gets picked up here and placed before it comes out for our visual inspection. And we just give it a once over to verify that everything is placed well. We don't see any defects. We don't see any funny business.
Okay.
And then it goes through our oven. That goes through an oven profile where the temperature ramps up until it hits what's called the soak point. And that's where the solder itself becomes liquid. That happens for a certain amount of time, and then it gets cooled down so the solder has time to wick and create a good metallic bond between the pad of the PCBA as well as the pad of the component.
Perfect.
It comes out here, there's a brief cool down period, and then we go into our final machine, and that's our AOI. So this machine takes a series of pictures very quickly using different kinds of lighting and several lenses. And that is looking at, is the component itself placed accurately? Is it the correct component? And is the solder a good bond between the component and the PCB? So here we go through, and this is where the boards are D-panels. They get placed in the test machine. We close it, it programs it, and then it tests all of the voltage rails. There's a visual test to make sure that all of the LEDs are firing and that everything is working properly.
Everything that we did on the previous part of the line was all the physical connections.
Yep.
This is what's testing it.
Yep.
All right, man, this is absolutely impressive. Awesome. Doug, I want to thank you for walking us through today.
Thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate it.
All right, let's head on out. All right, so we just finished building the boards out on the SMT line, and we have a whole bunch back here on assembly, so I'm going to go put them together. All right, step one, we're going to start with the heatsink. All right, so we just applied some thermal paste to this board, and we're going to get it onto the heatsink right now. I was watching you do this earlier, and I think this is probably the only thing I could not do myself. All right, so we started with this Radion back on the SMT line when it was still just a bare plate of aluminum. Brought it out here to the warehouse and we got it completed. Needed a little bit of help on the way, but I think I did about 80% of it myself. Now it's ready to go out to you and go over your reef tank. If you want to know a little bit more about EcoTech Marine Radions, we've got links down in the description below, and we'll see you in the next one.